there, fellow wanderers. Welcome back to the Wandering Gypsy RV Life podcast, where we share stories, tips, and adventures from life on the road. I'm your host, Stan Cromlish, coming to you from wherever the wheels are turning and the coffee's hot. Today's episode is titled Epic Fishing in the Henry's Fork Canyon, and trust me, it lives up to the name. We're talking fly fishing, road tripping, a thieving osprey, inner tube dodging, and a whole lot of fun. Grab a cup of coffee, sit back in your camp chair, and let's get rolling. I want to start with a bit of a backstory. A few years ago, in 2020, I took a leap of faith and bought a motorhome during the height of COVID. In 2023, I upgraded from a 32-foot Class C to a big old Class A motorhome that I affectionately named Birdie B. The dream back in 2020 was to travel all over the western U.S. in search of the best fly fishing for trout. I had a vision to wander from river to river, gypsy style, chasing the trout bite and soaking in the great outdoors. Since then, I've been living that dream, one river at a time. I've cast lines in the Deschutes River, up in Oregon, think Wild Rapids and Red Band rainbow trout, and even down in Texas on the Guadalupe River. Yes, Texas has trout, in the Guadalupe's tailwater of all places. Each stop has had its own flavor, from the desert canyons of the Deschutes to the lush hill country of the Guadalupe, and I've loved every minute of it. The summer of 2023, my travels took me to Eastern Idaho, home to one river that's been on my bucket list since day one, the Henry's Fork of the Snake River. For trout-obsessed anglers, just hearing Henry's Fork gives you chills. It's a river with a big reputation. More on that later, and some truly epic fishing. And in July 2023, I finally got that trip done. I'd set my sights on a gorgeous stretch known as the Henry's Fork Canyon in Island Park, Idaho. Specifically, the famed Box Canyon section just below the Island Park Dam. And I wasn't going alone on this adventure. Joining me was my buddy Jeff Roper. You might know Jeff as a local TV and radio personality and an all-around funny guy in Eastern Idaho. And we had a top-notch guide, Jon Lewis from TroutHunter Outfitters, to show us the ropes. Jon's been guiding on the Henry's Fork since 2006, so I knew we were in good hands. Our plan was simple: float the canyon in a drift boat, catch some trout, and have an absolute blast. It's early morning on the Henry's Fork. The sun is just peeking over the pine-covered hills, and the river is alive with possibility. We push off in the drift boat, the cool water gurgling around us. The canyon stretch here is stunning. A basalt gorge cutting through national forest where eagles and ospreys soar overhead. The water is crystal clear and fast. You can see why this section is renowned for its powerful currents and healthy rainbow trout. Jeff and I glance at each other with giddy grins. This is what we live for. Rods in hand, we start working the first run. I'm on a nymph rig when in the Box Canyon, nymphing is the name of the game, while Jeff, a fly fishing greenhorn, is getting the hang of casting a similar setup under Jon's patient tutoring. We hadn't been fishing more than 20 minutes when we realized we weren't the only ones enjoying the river that day. Around the bend comes a flotilla of brightly colored inner tubes. Yep, tubers. Dozens of locals and vacationers lazily floating downstream, laughing and splashing. It was like a surreal obstacle course for our little fishing party. One moment, I'm drifting my fly through a riffle. The next, I'm navigating around an inflatable unicorn carrying a sunburned teenager. We couldn't help but chuckle. This is a new one, Extreme Fly Fishing, featuring Class 2 rapids and a rubber ducky convoy. We waved and exchanged friendly hellos with the tubers as we skillfully dodged them. Jeff joked that we should have brought water balloons for a sneak attack. Only kidding here. It was all in good fun, and honestly, the added challenge made the day even more memorable. After all, part of the joy of wandering is encountering the unexpected. The tubers eventually drifted past, and we continued our float, focused back on the fishing. Jon rowed us into a gorgeous pocket of water below a cliff face. I made a cast into the seam, and bam, fish on. I felt that electric jolt in the rod as the trout took my fly. Fish on, guys! This felt like a decent rainbow. I'm fighting the fish. Jeff is eagerly reeling in his line to avoid tangles, and Jon is ready with the net. The trout starts to tire, and I'm bringing it towards the boat, when suddenly we hear a shrill cry from above. Whoosh! Out of nowhere, an osprey dives down like a heat-seeking missile. In a split second, this eagle-eyed bird snatches my trout right out of the water. And just like that, snap, my line goes slack. We watch, mouths agape, as that osprey flies off with my trout. And my fly, still hooked in its mouth. For a moment, we sat in stunned silence. Then Jeff breaks the silence. Did that just happen? We burst into laughter and disbelief. I've heard of the one that got away, but usually it's into the water, not into the air, I holler up at the sky. Hey, bring that back! But our feathered friend was long gone, enjoying a breakfast courtesy of yours truly. Jon shook his head, grinning. That's a new one, even for me. Ospreys 1, us 0. I have to admit, it was kind of hard to be mad. How often do you get to see something like that up close? We figured the osprey earned its meal, and I could always tie another fly. Humorous aside, note to self, next time maybe tie on a fly that doesn't look like a fish if ospreys are around. After the great osprey heist, we regrouped and kept on fishing. The afternoon started to fade into evening, and the canyon treated us to more strikes and a few nice trout brought to the net. Those the ospreys didn't get, thankfully. But the biggest highlight of the day was yet to come. See, my buddy Jeff, as enthusiastic as he is, was new to fly fishing. He'd caught plenty of fish in his life, but never a trout on a fly rod. That was about to change. We drifted into a calmer stretch of the canyon where the water slowed a bit into a deep pool. There were trout rising occasionally, dimpling the surface. You could almost sense something special might happen. Jon had Jeff switch to a dry fly, a bushy hopper pattern with a nymph dropper for good measure. Jeff cast out towards a subtle rise we spotted. Sploosh! His fly landed perfectly upriver of a rising fish. 1 Mississippi. 2 Mississippi. Suddenly his line went tight. Fish on! And this time it wasn't an osprey on the other end. It was a trout. For real. Jeff hooped with excitement as the trout darted and fought. I was cheering. You got this! Keep the rod tip up. Jon was coaching calmly. Let him run if he needs to. Don't horse him. It was a solid rainbow trout, giving Jeff a run for his money. You should have seen the concentration on Jeff's face. Pure determination, with a side of sheer joy. After a few exhilarating minutes, Jeff worked the trout closer, and Jon scooped it up in the net. Success! Jeff had landed his first trout on a fly rod. We broke into a celebration, hooting and high-fiving in the middle of the river. Jeff was over the moon. The trout wasn't huge, maybe a feisty 14 inches, but you'd think it was a state record from our reaction. Jeff cradled the fish for a quick photo. The grin on his face, priceless. Then we gently released it back to the river. In that moment, I think we made a fly fisherman out of him. Helping a friend catch their first fly rod trout, man, that's the good stuff right there. That's a memory we'll all carry with us. And don't worry, we captured a lot of this on camera. In fact, I'll be sharing a video of this adventure in the blog post for this episode. So be sure to check it out later to see the osprey in action and Jeff's big catch on film. As the sun started to dip and our drift boat neared to take out, I sat back, reflected, and took it all in. The golden light was flickering on the canyon walls, and I felt that deep sense of contentment and gratitude. We'd come to the Henry's Fork with high hopes, and it delivered an experience for the record books, just not in the ways we expected. It's funny, sometimes the best moments are the ones you couldn't predict. An impromptu tube flotilla, a kamikaze osprey, and a friend's first fish. Days like this are why I hit the road with Birdie B in the first place. Before we move on, I want to share a little background on the Henry's Fork, because this river isn't just another fishing spot. It's a legend in the fly fishing world. The Henry's Fork, also known as the North Fork of the Snake River, has been called fly fishing's Valhalla by some, and for good reason. This river boasts around 70 miles of diverse trout water, from glassy Spring Creek sections to roaring canyon runs, and it has a storied history in our sport. Perhaps the most famous stretch of the Henry's Fork is a place simply called the Ranch. The Ranch is a 7-mile section within Harriman State Park, also called the Railroad Ranch, because it was once owned by the Union Pacific Railroad's Harriman family. This stretch is basically holy ground for dry fly anglers. In fact, the Harriman family donated the ranch to the state of Idaho in 1982 to preserve it for public use. Since then, it's been fly fishing only, catch and release, and it's renowned for some of the most technical, rewarding fly fishing on the planet. They say the Henry's Fork is the largest spring creek in the U.S., with ridiculously prolific insect hatches and spooky selective trout. A big rainbow from the ranch on a dry fly is like a badge of honor in fly fishing. Not easy to come by, but unforgettable if you do. Many anglers spend seasons here trying to outsmart those fish. As we floated through the canyon that day, I couldn't help but think about that history. We were on the same river that countless fly fishing legends have pilgrimaged to. I glanced downstream, knowing that a ways beyond where we took out, the river would slow and flatten into that famous ranch stretch. I didn't get to fish the ranch section this time, but you can bet it's on my to-do list for the future. Maybe next season I'll wander back this way, armed with tiny dry flies and infinite patience to test myself on those legendary trout. For now, though, I was beyond happy with our canyon adventure. It gave me a new appreciation for the Henry's Fork and its wild character. After an epic day on the river, it was time to find a place to relax and park Birdie B for the night. We headed down to Idaho Falls, where I'd booked a spot at the Idaho Falls Luxury RV Park. a new park that had just opened up earlier that summer. In fact, it opened in May of 2023, so it was only a couple of months old when we visited. And let me tell you, the name isn't kidding about luxury. We rolled in and were immediately impressed. Great amenities? Check. Beautiful landscaping? Check. Spacious sites? Oh yeah, check. They gave us a pull-through site that was 100 feet long, fully paved and landscaped. Birdie B, all 36 feet of her, plus our towed vehicle, fit with room to spare. After so many rustic campgrounds over the years, having a massive, level site felt like an RV paradise. We hooked up to full 50 amp power, water, sewer, the works. And each site even has its own Wi-Fi hotspot, which is a nice perk if you need it. In Birdie B, we don't. We have our dual internet strategy that we use everywhere. The park had a really nice lodge building at the entrance with a check-in lounge and upscale bathrooms. I peeked in and saw tile showers and even heated floors. There's a camp store for essentials, a fenced dog park for our furry friends, and even pickleball courts for those who carry paddles in their RV. Note to self, maybe I should learn pickleball. They really thought of everything. It felt more like an RV resort than a typical campground. What's also cool is the history behind this RV park. I learned that it was built on the site of the old Skyview Drive-In Theater, a local icon from 1950 that closed about a decade ago. The owners, two families working together, had this vision to create a top-notch RV park, and they broke ground in 2021, transforming that old drive-in into this modern oasis. By the grand opening in May 2023, their dream had become a reality, and you can see the care they put into it. The layout is very well thought out. All those long sites and wide roads made it easy to maneuver, even for big rigs. Everything was new, clean, and nicely landscaped with trees and grass between the sites. After we settled in, I took a little walk and even accessed the Idaho Falls Riverwalk Greenbelt directly from the park. It backs right up to the Snake River, giving guests a lovely walking trail along the water. Perfect for unwinding after a day of fishing. Now, I will say, this park was a bit pricey. It was definitely on the higher end cost-wise. I think our site was around $125 for the night. It was a splurge stay for us, but honestly, we felt it was worth it for the security, convenience, and comfort. The property is fully gated for security, which we appreciated. Though, I have to admit, the front gate was a little tight. Pulling Birdie B through that entrance felt a little like threading a needle. We made it in unscathed, just took it nice and slow. If you have a wide rig, be aware of that gate. Once inside, though, it's smooth sailing. Overall, the Idaho Falls Luxury RV Park lived up to its name. Beautiful, well laid out, and a great home base as we wandered through this part of Idaho. If you're passing through the Idaho Falls area and don't mind spending a few extra bucks for a top-tier park, I'd highly recommend it. It was the perfect place to relax, recharge our batteries, literally and figuratively, and relish the memories of that day. As I sit here at our campsite with the night sky above and a happy tiredness from a day's adventures, I can't help but feel grateful. This journey, roaming from river to river, meeting new friends, learning new things, it just keeps getting richer. Our Henry's Fork Canyon trip had a bit of everything: natural beauty, laughter, a touch of drama, and the joy of sharing fly fishing with good company. These are the stories I'll be telling around campfires for years, and I'm so happy I get to share them with you through this podcast. Before I sign off, I have a few quick reminders and invitations for you. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the Wandering Gypsy RV Life podcast. That way, you'll never miss an episode. We have plenty more adventures ahead. Check out our YouTube channel. I'll be posting a YouTube video of our Henry's Fork fishing day. Yes, including the osprey incident and Jeff's big catch. Head over to my YouTube channel, also called the Wandering Gypsy RV Life, and check it out. While you're there, feel free to subscribe and like for more travel and fishing videos. Follow the Wandering Gypsy RV Life on social media for behind-the-scenes photos, updates on where we're headed next, and maybe the occasional bad fishing pun. Just search for Wandering Gypsy RV Life and you'll find me. I love connecting with fellow travelers and anglers, so come by and say hi. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed coming along on this adventure to Idaho's Henry's Fork. I know I sure did. If you're enjoying the show, please consider leaving a review or a rating. It really helps others find the podcast. And as always, I appreciate you being part of my journey. Until next time, keep the wheels rolling and the lines tight. And remember, not all who wander are lost. Safe travels, and I hope to see you on the road.